What is the VWAP actually telling you? We can't just solely go based off of a VWAP break or a VWAP bounce. We have to look deeper into it of saying, what is the VWAP actually telling me in this moment? So that way we can get more picky with our trades and not just be taking every trade that possibly presents. Let's look at the chart right now while it's still moving. This was a quick short this morning that presented here on ES and NQ. As we get the drop at the open, not chasing the first break, we get a small break of opening range low. Quick pullback, but sellers do defend that New York VWAP with some nice pins up there. The second breakout side open range low, or going for that second breakout side, knowing that that one's probably the most likely one to run. You put on a nice short with the stop loss at structure, and you get a clear rip outside of it. Now, on the topic of this video, we can quickly just look at this trade too, that the New York VWAP is clearly sloping down, and the 15-minute this morning heading into the open is also lower highs and lower lows. So we have a full bearish bias below every VWAP, and the New York VWAP is telling us that it's sloping down. Sellers are in control. We'll look at some other examples here where you'll see it's not that clear, as we can go to yesterday or the previous Thursday, but the last day of price action. So let's rewind it here and get our levels, and you can see the New York VWAP. So first things first, at the open, potential longs, as it's just chopping here at the New York Open. We don't want anything to do with that because the New York VWAP is flat. It's telling you no one's really in control. So although we are closing above it here for a second and then closing below it for a second, it's still flat. No one's really clearly in control. Is that going to hold and continue lower or continue higher for this one? Because it's still flat. There's not a lot of conviction in the direction yet, but then we do break out to the upside with maybe some higher highs and higher lows coming in, and the New York VWAP is starting to slope up. Now, one thing to keep in mind on this one, we could pop it open as well, so you get my point here. The 15-minute, a clear piece of my price action that I need to read is this overnight VWAP. So you can see when I'm looking for potential longs here as the New York VWAP starting to slope up in here, where are we actually retesting on the 15-minute? Still underneath that overnight 15-minute VWAP, so not full VWAP alignment for longs. It's not screaming at me to long it, although this could end up being the higher low and we get back higher. It's not looking like it's ready quite yet, as we were underneath this overnight VWAP, and now it looks like we're just retesting it for maybe more shorts. So not fully ready yet. But then you break back below, and then now that bullish bias is now gone because now we're sinking below the New York VWAP and it's actually starting to slope back down. But we're not going to just chase price lower. Let it pull back off a key level, break a lower day VWAP, and then we'll continue this trend that may be setting in to the downside. But you can see it clearly does not bounce off it. It gets a strong break above New York VWAP, so there's still no trades on the table. And what's happening now? Well, a lot of you, and including myself, we get stuck in the trap of wanting to time and predict when it's going to pop and where it's going to pop. That is this still going to be lower highs from pre-market into the open and we finally do break lower just any time now? Or does it pop back higher because maybe this is higher lows on the bottom? Well, either point may be fair. But what is the New York VWAP really telling me? It's telling me that we're just sitting sideways. We're still pinning all this support down here at the New York VWAP, and the New York VWAP is flat, so no one's clearly in control. So although you might want to jump into the longs and they do eventually work, it's not really telling you that that's the easy play, as we're just sitting sideways. And the New York VWAP is matching that with just sitting sideways as well. But then once you finally do start to get that bullish price action start to set in a little bit with some higher highs and higher lows, the New York VWAP mimics it as well, with starting to slope back up just a little bit. That buyers are starting to creep it back higher, and then you get these nice bounces off the open range high, and you continue the trend back higher. So I think just waiting for the VWAP to tell you a certain direction and not just be predicting what it's going to do when it's sitting sideways. And then we can look at some markups here as well. If we go over here, again, all these trades that I'm taking are on top one futures. So if you need an account, always use code Evan. They'll match the best deal. Right now, it's actually 50% off. Let's look at this example. On this day, this is on NQ again. Pretty choppy, ugly open in a wide opening range where we have potential new low a day, back inside the range. I made plenty of videos about that as well, but we'll leave that to the side. If we're in this opening range, I don't want it, right? All this inside that opening range in the later mornings, also another sign that there's not clear trend. So on a different note, we get a break for a new high a day, retest to the opening range high. Clearly higher highs and higher lows at this point, so hopefully you are bullish biased already. But the New York VWAP is also matching it, telling you there may be gas in this bullish trend because not only are we moving structurally higher, but the VWAP is matching it as well, and you go and continue the longs there. Let's look at this next example. A losing short and then maybe a winning short if you take it on later. But what's the problem with this short VWAP bounce Although it clearly does look very bearish here, lower highs and lower lows. Looks like the retest to my VWAP. The New York VWAP's flat. Not really doing anything. It kind of flattened out here since being bearish at the open, so no one's really clearly in control. I'd rather be falling, and I'm looking for shorts. It's not the worst that it's flat. It'd be way worse if it was moving higher, and I'm looking for shorts. But I still do not want it to be flat if I'm looking for trend continuation shorts. And then you go over here in the lower day VWAP break when sellers finally do step back in. Still arguably flat, so it's really not a great trade, but then it doesn't really start arching down until it's ready to go, and it does pop lower. So really just tough to time when it's going to pop because the New York VWAP is just really flat. So that's why we lean into that lower day VWAP. If you look at this one over here, no lower day VWAP break. So never told you sellers are 100% back in control. We're ready to go and continue the trend. They attempted it, but could not take it. So there would have been a premature entry on the short saying sellers are back in because they in fact are not. They didn't take that lower day VWAP. Then they take it over here, say, okay, sellers are back in. This may be the end of our pullback. So if you put a stop loss at structure, you absolutely would survive, even though it does take some time to finally pop for you. Another one here, this is clean at the open. Not clean at the open, but later on, super choppy. What is this New York VWAP doing? It's moving lower. It's flat, potentially moving higher. Let it do what it wants. It's also inside this opening range. I don't want to trade inside this opening range and predict what side it's going to break out on, especially on a day where it's not super clear. But then we get that break for a new low. This red circle here, there's the first break of opening range low. I don't want to chase that, especially after like 10 minutes of just straight drop. Those often don't sustain. And the first break of an opening range low often doesn't sustain, so I do not want to chase that. But then we get a pullback, similar to the markup we went over at the very beginning of this video. Sellers defend this New York VWAP, and now we're getting the second break outside the opening range low in this green circle here. And sellers are back in. We're off the key level. Now my New York VWAP up here is starting to slope down. Sellers have it. Sellers are in control. Let's go continue this trend to the downside. So I think it's a mix of pairing the slope of that New York VWAP, and even I would say the 15-minute VWAP, if you can get that in line as well, that'll always be a good thing as well. But then matching it with a lower day VWAP to get even more precise timing on when those sellers are back in, right? Because we may have a sloping down New York VWAP here in black, but if we don't fully take out that lower day VWAP, like we don't on this one, sellers aren't fully back in. So you have to read what the VWAP is actually telling you. It's telling you sellers tried to take it here, but buyers stepped in and didn't let them go much lower than that. So we don't want to be short yet because there's not more sellers than buyers right now. Going back to today's charts, or even just the day prior, you can see the same thing. We'll rewind it to this one, and you'll see the ugly trend. And again, the lesson of do not trade it if it's inside this opening range, these black horizontal levels. Because what is the New York VWAP telling me? It's sitting sideways here, actually starting to slope up. And then we finally do get that bullish pop. All right, so good thing I wasn't forcing shorts above this New York VWAP when we are actually still rising as well. And then we get below it here. It's still pretty flat though. Still pretty flat, but I guess you'd say it's more so falling. But it's ugly. Let it drop. Let it become super clear that there's the sloping New York VWAP. Sellers clearly have it. Structure's moving lower with it. And then all we have to do is just wait for pullbacks, break of a lower day VWAP, and take the next trend back into the shorts. So I think just reading the VWAP as a whole, one thing to keep in mind, if you're inside this opening range, these black horizontal levels, which is set for the first 15 minutes of the New York session, 9:30 to 9:45. If we're in those ranges, I don't want to put a time on it, but anything after like an hour and a half since the New York Open, not the clearest sign of trend. Because if there's clear trend, we should be outside these levels, moving outside these levels, no problem. Matching that with the slope of a New York VWAP here in black, if it's flat at any time in the day, that's also not a great sign because clearly no one side is clearly in control. Let's go back to today's price action. What's happening? It's still very early on at 10:30. It's been an hour, but it's been an hour. And where are we? We're well outside this level of the open range low, way up here. So we have a clear direction because the price action is giving me a clear direction, as well as we're making new prices. We're making new lows. There's no problem with the trend continuing. So if I want to find another short today, I could believe that it could have the gas to do it because we're outside these levels. We're not trapped in this range, ping-ponging around for the first hour, 2 hours. We're finding new levels. We keep on moving lower. The New York VWAP is sloping down with it, matching that bearish bias. So I think just pairing it with where am I on the charts? And what is the New York VWAP telling me? What is this range telling me? That there is no range today. We are in trend. Now my job is to try to capitalize on the next move of trend, right? If you miss this trade here at the open, that's fine. Don't just be chasing it lower down here in this consolidation. If we can get a pullback to the New York VWAP, sellers defend it, we'll take the next trend low back in the shorts. So I think it's just really an abundance mindset of reading the New York. Now you start to game plan. What do I want to see? Price is way too low down here for me to want to sell it. I can't buy it because this thing definitely could still want to keep going lower. So I can't buy it down here. All right. What would I need to see to sell it? And then to sell it, you just say, well, if I can get a pullback close to New York VWAP or fully to that New York VWAP, maybe I'll play a bounce play because I really like the bearish trend today. Stop loss above structure. Or I'll wait for that lower day VWAP to be taken out and I'll take the next short after that and continue the trend. So hopefully you guys found value in this, reading the New York VWAP, matching it with the 15-minute VWAP as well. It really just comes down to, are we trending? The New York VWAP is going to tell you a lot of that, mixed with the price action of it may be hinting to you that we may not trend at all for the next 10, 20, 30 minutes if we're just a flat New York VWAP. But when there's a clear direction on it and price action is matching that as well, we're outside of these levels, it becomes a lot easier to take these trades, time these trades, win these trades, all of the above. So again, if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. You can also always check out these edge reports, which align with that. Today specifically, if you go to the opening range, I have it filtered to Monday. On Mondays in the past year, only 53% of the time would it break both sides. So being that we took out the bottom, that's pretty much telling me, yeah, we're probably going to be a nice clean bearish day today because we probably don't come back up and double break that level. So now that's going to keep me looking for shorts. I know my best favorable place to look for shorts is off of this New York VWAP. So now all I have to do is wait. If it can do that, then I'll capitalize on a short. If it doesn't want to pull back like that, I'll wait for the next pullback or off the next key level of maybe the initial bounce, which was set 8 minutes ago, all right? So definitely check out Edgeful, check out the top one futures. They're running a 50% off sale if you use code Evan. I appreciate you guys always tuning in. We just hit 1,500 subs, so thank you guys for that, always tuning in and showing some support. Like I said, always feel free to reach out with any questions you have or videos you guys want to see. But other than that, keep in touch, trade it safe with the VWAP, follow your rules. I'll see you guys on the charts tomorrow morning.